Morning, America. How are you?
Good morning to the world. How are ya? Clinton Jaws, please subscribe. It's the only thing I care about. Let's be friends. And you haven't watched this. One day crammed into about half an hour. MSNBC, and they're mad. They're angry. It's hilarious. Let's make fun of them.
At the age of 78, Donald Trump will be the oldest person to ever take the oath of office as president of the United States. He will also be the only convicted felon to ever hold the office.
We're doing a hot hooker.
Way to go, old boy. The country's about to learn what the downside of that is when governance is turned to that end for the people in government and the people who have effectively captured it.
Yeah, indeed. And I mean, I think one of the things that dies on today is this statement that a lot of people like to make: this is not who we are. I think in some fundamental ways, this is who we are.
Got that right.
And I thank you for acknowledging that today is MLK Day.
Yeah.
Your white bag.
And I think for a lot of Americans, there's a special pain in the fact that this spectacle is taking place on the day that honors Dr. King. We've used to exacerbate rather than relieve poverty. And he said he called upon the country to wake up. A nicer way to say it is stay woke. And that I think the kind of cosmic
and you wonder why you
brilliance.
lost.
This is a revolution of what Joe Biden himself called a pure autocracy of oligarchy. And that is oligarchy. If nothing else says oligarchy, it's a bunch of billionaires coalescing indoors so that they won't be chilly. And, you know, Trump's old, but he ain't William Henry Harrison. I don't think that's the risk here. All I'm thinking about is who is awake to what we are experiencing in this country and who thinks it's fine. Because if you think it's fine, we can't be friends.
Don't be like that. I'll let you abort my baby.
Mark Milley, that's a brilliant dude. Now it is people Trump likes to see on television. It's people he thinks will praise him. It's people who will give him what he wants and allow him to do to the American people, to immigrants whom Jesus loved. This is supposed to be the great Christian
sick and tired
president
of Jesus.
who is promising to attack immigrants,
Dresses
trans
like an
people
idiot.
who are already vulnerable. These are some of the executive orders. The cruelty is the point of this coming administration. So it is very hard for me to look at this spectacle of the takeover of the United States
Taking it
by a base mentality of greed and corruption and say the institutions will save us, because they've not done well for us so far.
There they are, Kamala Harris and J.D. Vance. Is he scooting in behind her? Aren't you supposed to go in on the other side?
He did call her the trash. I will note.
Yeah,
I'm not
other
sure.
side, other side. There he goes.
He's
trying to get her to scoot over.
She's like, yeah, we're not friends. We can't be friends.
But we don't know. We don't know what's going on.
He's not awake enough.
We have a feeling about this guy coming in, and we have a feeling about what he's going to do. But President Obama has asked us to be graceful and to welcome them.
I'll be a dictator on day one. That's not an investigative journalism finding.
It's also just, I should just note, the remarkable thing that we're seeing here is an empty Washington.
Yeah, it is. Aren't there hundreds of thousands of people there?
Yeah, I mean, you can see some people there on the side. It's sort of sparse. There are some Trump supporters who are there, but festivities have been moved indoors. But honestly, I expected this. Somebody there with the Ukraine flag. I doubt that's a Trump supporter.
Because they're Ukrainian.
MAGAism isn't a mass movement. It isn't a broad movement among the American people. It's a movement about a third of American adults.
It's never going to work.
It's not a movement of great popular culture. I think King George was so unpopular, the U.S. left the kingdom to form a separate country, the United States. So if he is the king, that does not mean that he is a beloved and broadly loved king. Inauguration of the American people, but you can't buy that with Elon's money. You can only earn that with great results. His first administration did not have great results. It had 1 million people dead of COVID. So
with 800,000 of them under Biden.
You have to earn that.
I will act with historic speed and strength and fix every single crisis facing our country. All right, then.
All of them.
And go.
Start looking for a new job.
We'll see.
That's fixing.
This is just a very complicated series of proceedings. I'm thinking, of course, as I always do, about the people of Panama, Greenland, and Canada.
Canada needs to grow up.
Donors and billionaires who are what are they doing there? Which, again, is not a normal thing. A bit of a visual metaphor for this strange moment that we are in. Elon Musk.
And ensuring that they are not chilly.
TV star.
They're all there without their coats, without their overcoats on, to make sure that they're comfortable. One mustn't allow the super wealthy to be cold.
You got it. One mustn't.
The rich people get to stand next to Trump and face out at the people who will serve him.
They could have made the decision, we want 200 seats for normal people, right? They didn't.
Of course.
Only abnormal allowed.
Was the host to Jimmy Carter lying in state. That was in this room.
And it was also incredibly cold. I attempted, myself and my anchor producer tried to get to it. We never made it. It was a 3.5-hour wait in about like 9-degree freezing temperatures.
I guess you're not wealthy enough.
Cold, but
they're seeing all the activity. You're right. They booed when they saw Mike Pence show up there. They cheered when they saw Elon Musk. Boos as well for the Clintons when they walked in, along with chants of "lock her up," obviously referencing Hillary Clinton and the first Trump election. And now you hear cheers. So
must be
lots
Wayne
of cheers
Gretzky.
every time.
he did get into the room, though. I just wonder if you calculated the net worth of that room, what it would be.
Let's watch.
Yeah, let's move it along. Oh, my God. That's what she wonders.
But if you just look at what happened over the last 48 hours with ByteDance, sort of preemptively pulling TikTok access on Saturday, not even on Sunday, a day before they
With the post.
shut it down, with this post saying because of this law, and then 24 hours later, on the day they were supposed to take it down, putting it back up and crediting what they said was President Trump, but he's not president yet.
He had nothing to do
sort
with
of
it.
giving him praise of Donald Trump.
Homeland Security next to Apple CEO Tim Cook. How is this happening?
Only in America.
Because we asked for it.
How is this happening? Why are people with tons of money up on the dais with cabinet nominees and family members?
It is a message.
The message, yeah, we're all fans.
Jeff Bezos, the billionaire owner of the Washington Post and Amazon and that space company, standing in front of our...
Good time to buy all their stock. Good-looking couple. You're the man.
The swearing in
You're the man.
Faithfully discharge.
And that I will well and faithfully discharge. Enter.
So help me God.
So help me God.
If my wife would have looked at me like that, I would have married her earlier.
Congratulations, Mr. Vice President.
Preserve, protect, and defend
the Constitution of the United States.
the Constitution of the United States.
Uh-oh.
So help me God.
No hand
So
on the
help me
Bible.
God. Congratulations.
You're in trouble. Gonna hear about that one.
I was saved by God to make America great again.
I'll go with that.
We will drill, baby, drill. It will henceforth be the official policy of the United States government that there are only two genders, male and female.
Makeup sales are going down. God, I love her. Oh, yeah.
Let freedom ring from Stone Mountain, Georgia.
A largely white crowd is applauding in the rotunda.
I know we're not living in normal times.
That God saved him in order to make him president again.
That's right. That's right.
And you heard the whoops of response in the room, which gives a sort of imperative to claim that God sent you, is something that we don't expect in political life. We expect it in other parts of life.
It's a little like a cult leader who keeps predicting different days for the end of the world.
There is no such thing as taxing other countries. He will use tariffs, and tariffs do equate to taxes.
Soon as they have left in this motorcade, we...
Wave goodbye to the trash. Bye, trash. Oh, this is the best part right here. See you later. It's been a long 4 years.
Only his presence makes America great. What makes America great is that he is running it. He's in charge of it.
But I just want to say, you're a younger, far more beautiful audience that I just spoke to, and I want to keep it off the record.
Good point.
I, along with others who've talked about it, set out in a very cold inaugural in January of 2009. This really was about Trump wanting to control the image, maybe worried about his hair, but really worried about crowd size.
I'd be worried about
vision. Aside from getting quoted in the inaugural speech with Drill Baby Drill.
We were having a debate about that. Is that your contribution to American lexicon forevermore?
Yes. I came up with that at 2 a.m. in the morning because I got to a point in my speech where I had to make a transition and I couldn't quite figure out how to do it. And
I did it.
After a few conversations with a gentleman named Jim Bean, I came up with Drill Baby Drill. And here we are.
There you go.
But
awkward.
Yes. Maybe, I don't know if the new White House communications and press staff have figured it out, but it's more helpful to us all if we know what's happening and if they send us some guidance. But
you need help from Hitler now.
He's about to sign.
She wants their help.
Unsure about what he's about to sign.
We're gonna watch as he does begin this.
You got one job to do.
We're going to find out what exactly is being signed.
What's going on?
Sir, the first is 22 cabinet and cabinet level appointments for your signature. Okay. Lastly, we have a proclamation ordering that on all future inauguration days, including this inauguration day, that flags shall be flown at full mast. Very important.
All of this. Michael, flags flying at half mast versus full mast, not something presidents are traditionally preoccupied with on Inauguration Day, but this 47th president is unlike any other. What sticks out? Very thorny and contentious.
When it comes specifically to genders, we expect an executive order that's going to say that there are two sexes that the federal government identifies, and it's going to be male or female, and there won't be any more sort of issues when it comes to or recognitions when it comes to other genders, including transgender pronouns, including the gender X. This means that this could happen immediately, that you could see prisons, migrant shelters, rape shelters where transgender women are actually taken out of those settings and being put in settings where they would be with men because they would be seen as men. It's in some ways really, really striking when you think about the sort of immediate impact of this. I've also been talking to some legal experts about what it means if you're a transgender person that maybe has a passport where your gender is listed as X. That's a gender where it was non-binary, where the Biden administration gave you a passport, legal documents to travel out of this country. One legal expert said if you're someone like that, that you should choose real caution, use real caution when it comes to leaving the country right now, because coming back into the United States right now, as soon as those executive orders are signed, you could be detained because your gender would no longer line up with the genders that are being identified by the federal government. So when we talk about immediate impacts of the Trump administration, that's a big one. If you're a transgender woman or man with a passport that has your gender, you could literally be stopped and told you can't get into the United States unless...
I know that there is a small, as Anna pointed out, a small area where the president may be signing some executive orders in front of an inaugural crowd, Chris, inside an arena. I mean, just the levels of unusualness, abnormality, some might say, of all of this boggle the mind.
Yeah, and politics, it is to make everything a show at all times. And even sometimes things that shouldn't be a show are made
like the signing of executive orders, legally binding presidential decisions in front of a giant crowd gathered at an arena before a Westminster dog show like parade inside. It's all so bizarre.
Listen, that's not going to happen. That goes back to what I was saying before, is who's prepared to draw the political line and stand on it. Van Hollen, you're not. You're not going to use the Senate procedure the way Mitch McConnell used it against Democrats.
But why did the Democrats?
You're going to have a heart attack too.
We do every
they're in the position.
Okay, but where's the responsibility of the Republican senators who say they care about our country and care about the Senate being the greatest deliberative body in the history of the world? So don't put it on the Democrats. They didn't vote for that.
I mean, you don't do that, brother. This is how Merrick Garland didn't get a Senate seat, a judicial seat, because of that thinking. You're relying on someone else to do something that you already have the power to do.
Yeah, which has been the sort of vibe today. If we all sit here at the family table and we all say grace and we all pass the turkey, maybe everything will be the way it was. The way it was before. Maybe things won't be so bad. But of course, we're going to get the kind of abnormal stuff later. That will be in Capital One Arena where there is. Here we go, Michael.
Here we go. Yes, buckle up. 2 words, buckle up. I think we've been told what lies ahead.
Explain.
And all the pomp and all the circumstances and all of the exchanging of crystal vases, I don't think it can get lost just how abnormal this is, that as we watch the peaceful transfer of power, we're reminded that one of the first things, and again, the reporting on this, we don't quite have what this president now plans to do in the way of pardons for people who tried to disrupt the same thing that we just watched, right?
It's now 4 o'clock in New York. I guess we'll start here. Buckle up. Panama Canal is not operated by China. Flights. Donald Trump is expected to sign an order ending birthright citizenship for children of undocumented immigrants.
Get them out of there.
We'll explain for our viewers what happened. At noon, the website was deactivated.
Deactivated. So a person who has waited months to do things the right way. What we say all the time, do things the right way. Get in line. She got in line. She did things the right way. 20 minutes before she's finally supposed to have her appointment, all of a sudden, app crashes, the appointment
I guess my question is, if you wanted to create images of an incoming invasion, is that the kind of thing you would do? Crash the website?
It's not, and not only that, which is, that's the image at the border. They're the images that are going to come from the inside of this country.
I mean, we're changing names and stuff. I think we're changing the Gulf to America. I think we should change the Statue of Liberty, too, while we're at it today. The Statue of America, you know? And,
or just Statue of Trump.
Yeah, Statue of Trump, get rid of the little plaque.
Nice
I don't know, this whole blah, blah, blah. I want to take Mark Milley's photo off the wall. Like, Trump knows that it's a show.
Frankly, I thought today was going to be like a dental appointment with no Novocaine.
Cleanings.
And frankly, I need whiskey. But the point is that we got to quit paying attention to what he says and pay attention to what he does. And one of the things that Democrats have to do is point out to the country, this is a guy who laid out today the biggest big government takeover of local control in the history of this country.
Yeah.
Our country was founded, and the conservative movement and all those people that showed up for the Tea Parties and all the people that showed up to his rallies think government is the enemy and it's too big. So what's he doing? In his inaugural speech, he said, you know, we're going to have the federal government take over your curriculum at your local schools.
That's a big word.
At this point in time, there are a lot of folks who are saying, let the pain occur. As opposed to, there's real anger out there right now.
So much anger.
This environment, right here, right now, me as a black man in this society.
You don't stand a chance.
How do I engage? How do I walk the street? How do
Stay
I
home,
support
lock
my
your
family?
door.
How does my family engage? I'm a child of immigrants too.
Oh, you're screwed.
So how is
Commander-in-Chief had done today was to remove a 10-day-old portrait of former chairman of the Joint Chiefs, General Mark Milley.
It was a dumb
There
portrait.
were a couple of hours today where it wasn't clear who the acting Secretary
Yeah,
of
look how
Defense
stupid that
is,
looks.
the nominee.
Look, the portrait was removed at 12:46 p.m. from the wall of the Pentagon, on which it had just been placed, because those portraits get completed a few months or years after someone's service. It had just been hung on January 12th. It was removed at 12:46 p.m., just after the swearing in, and it is remarkable. We don't know on whose orders. We don't know whether the president, the newly elected president, is aware of it. And here we are, ironically, at the honors for the troops. As we listen to the national anthem, I should just say this is usually the reviewing of the troops, but because it was moved indoors, it is honors for the 6 services, Nicole.
Brutal.
So this idea, I mean, my favorite text I got today was from a sitting senator that said, unifying my bleep. I won't use the word that he used when he texted me. 4
of the 5 richest people in the world were in the right behind him. And they own the biggest communications platforms in the world. It is totally unprecedented. It feels un-American, right? It feels like kind of one of those other countries where you have the plutocrats and the oligarchs.
Tim Cook,
Get over it.
Jeff Bezos were there at St. John's Church earlier, the CEOs for Google and TikTok. Jeff Bezos were there at St. John's Church earlier, the CEOs for Google and TikTok will be around for all of the Trump inauguration events happening today, and they were at the swearing in. People who have everything to gain in a democracy that has everything to lose. Your thoughts about how much of what you've been warning about is coming to pass today?
You're watching the unraveling of our democracy. It's not about to happen. It is happening right now.
If you've got some friends that have tuned out because it's just too painful to watch him take office again and watch us be in this situation again, reach out to them today and read that statement from Cecile Richards' family. Because if everybody tunes out right now, then things are going to get even worse. And I'm not pleading with people to watch our network. I'm not pleading with people for any certain action. But I have so many friends who have expressed to me sympathy that I have to watch what's going on today, that I have to talk about what's going on today.
Poor thing.
That have just decided
how are you gonna do
enough. And we can't have that attitude. And Cecile Richards' family, I think, embodied that with
you're
her.
a hero.
You know, look, we were just talking in the earlier segment about the actual ramifications and real-life consequences of what's going to happen in this next administration. That's, we haven't talked about reproductive rights at all during this first hour because there's just so much other stuff, right? And that was such a key part of the campaign. And I think that there will be a sense for people that, like, because Kamala Harris lost this election, that, like, oh, that's not a fight worth fighting on or whatever. And I don't think that is the right message. If you just looked at this last election, a lot of voters who believed at reproductive rights at some level,
None of it makes today any easier to stomach without a lot of tequila. And I, because I'm not with you, I've managed to stay sober all day. Which I'm sure was a mistake, but
that's still. I just want to pull back for a moment and talk a little bit about what we saw today and the performance of it, because there's a lot to unpack there.
Was it racism?
I think, I was jotting some notes earlier, and then again, just listening to all of you and trying to take in how tragic this moment is. Essentially, what we saw today was the peaceful transfer of power to someone who doesn't believe in democracy or the rule of law.
Tragic.
We saw the promise of a return to greatness for America from a president who has weakened our bonds of affection and actually weakened the country in a plethora of ways.
Plethora. What do you say?
What does the opposition look like and sound like and do in a country where Donald Trump and his
suck it up for 4
are
years like we did
to culturally appropriate the very thing they are trying to destroy? Michelle Obama's decision not to go was a sense of, hey, something is not normal here. When you looked out at the sea of faces and you saw almost all only white Americans, that wasn't quite normal either. So right around the edges, you can tell that something was.
That's not normal, guys. Biden's inaugural? White, 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 Chinese.
Is not quite right. And that's where we need to begin.
Trump sought to put alligators and moats around the border, and he wanted to paint his border wall black and have spikes on it.
A line of
really
witches?
Sadistic stuff. New York Times reported that he wanted to issue pardons
for people that
carried out things like shooting people trying to cross it. Today, he has taken down an app that made the system at the southern border.
She talks like an 82-year-old.
All right, well, you get John Hyland back online. I can tap dance for you. So I want to put a fine point on some short. I don't think he understands the dynamics of what creates a border crisis. I don't think he understands the power that the president of Mexico currently has.
87% of Americans responding in a poll support deporting people in the country illegally who have committed crimes.
There you go.
63% of Americans polled support deporting immigrants who were here illegally and arrived over the last 4 years.
So some good poll numbers.
55% of all Americans support deporting all immigrants who are here illegally. That is a massive number of human beings. There's a lot of support for some of what Trump wants to do.
What do you say to that?
Of course, this gets us into the question of, like, have the polls been done properly? Have the questions been asked
for the first time ever, they got a problem with the polls.
appropriately? Have they been explained well enough to people?
Not explaining the polls.
The reason I dwell on it is that I think all of these questions in the polling have a quality of abstraction to them that makes the polling on it very
difficult,
tenuous. And I don't think most people in America have any idea
don't even get it.
What it's going to look like if you started to actually try to execute on not just removing illegal immigrants who are criminals, but starting to remove all illegal immigrants from the country. What the economic impact of that would be, what the social impact of that would be, what the human impact of that would be, what it would mean for law enforcement across the country if you had to mobilize the kind of force.
Less people, less crime, less cops, less taxes.
The political rhetoric has just been deranged. But look, we are in the middle of the fight of our lives.
Stand up, Aaron. The jury is still out on you. Does he speak?
Sir, the next item, as you announced in your speech, is a requirement that federal workers return to full-time in-person work immediately.
Fixing things.
May king's ghost haunt you.
Oh, Jesus.
Weirdly enough, he didn't place his hand on the Bibles
oh my God.
that Melania Trump was holding for him.
That's because she wasn't
Former
beside
Joint
him.
Chiefs of to Vice President Kamala Harris having to get into the car with the man, J.D. Vance, who 4 days before the election called her the trash. So we're going to take out the trash, and the trash's name is Kamala Harris. He said those words out of his mouth, and and yet she had to have the decorum.
I feel bad for him. He had to drive with the trash.
To try to treat him like a colleague or some sort of fellow member of the Republic. I stand her for her grace.
She's a hero.
Between these two men, the great Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. and the current occupant of the White House.
Conservative religiosity that is not about Jesus of Nazareth, but it's about
Jesus
power,
guy again.
Money, and racism.
I used to dress like that, then my dad got a job.
Amen to that. Began kicking indoors to drag brown people. Let's just be clear.
East Indians.
Brown and black people, to throw them out of the country. This is white supremacy and white nationalism. Sorry. There just isn't another word
there
for
it is.
This is not Christianity.
Rackism.
And yet Donald Trump today attempted to wrap what he is doing. To wrap what he is doing around the God that
people
we grew
pay
up
you
serving
money
as a God of mercy.
You
as
get paid
God,
to
as,
speak.
Reverend Amos Brown said, as a God of love. That's not this.
What this is an absolute, a real
spit it out
example of a man trying to distort what the Bible was about, which he claimed, which he wouldn't even touch today.
It's a sad day. It's an embarrassing day for me.
You're an embarrassing man.
And it is a sad day indeed for everyone, because I think people are not connected, Fred, as you have so well explained.
No connection.
So, all this to say, we've had bad inaugurations before. Except now, we've had ours. We've had this one twice.
Could you imagine? Could you imagine being married to her? Kiss me all over. My neck. No, not the neck.
And why do we deserve that? Donald Trump was sworn in for a second term as president today. He did not kiss the Bible, a la drunk Andrew Johnson in 1865, but nor did he put his hand on the Bible as he was sworn in, which was odd. He just left his left hand dangling by his side while his wife held the Bible vaguely near to him, but he never touched it. I'm going to show you a little piece of tape here. I'm only going to play it once.
Oh,
throwing something that looks like what is politely called the Roman salute, which added a nice blood-curdling chill to the day for many people today. Go ahead and roll that tape.
What is this? I can't remember.
And I just want to say thank you.
She's only showing this once.
Thank you.
Twice.
Yeah. My heart goes out to you.
What?
He does it twice.
Show it again.
More than ever, this is not a time to pretend this isn't happening. You're going to want to have a good answer when you get asked what you did for your country when your country started to take a turn this radical. All hands on deck.
Buckle up, guys. Buckle up. Oh, I love it. I love it. Thanks for watching. Subscribe. I'm going to go in the hot tub. Bye-bye.
What's that?